Welcome to this episode of the Chaotic Monkey Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about ghosts, otherworldly entities, and the third eye with one of my childhood and hometown friends. Welcome to you're the very first guest on my podcast. So,
Ah,
yay.
premiere
Th-
episode.
Yeah, this is the premiere episode. So, thank you for joining my podcast.
Yeah, I'm so honored.
So for everyone that's listening, this is my Mai. She's a childhood friend of mine, and she was my first girlfriend.
No.
I still have the pictures. You can't lie to me.
Yeah, I also have them.
Mai, I already sent you the bullet topics a while ago when we were chatting, and I'm just gonna get straight into it so we don't stall for too long. Everyone in the friend group knows that you have very strange moo sightings and all of that. So when did you start? Like, did you start seeing them since you were young, or did it just happen when you were growing up? Or
Oh, yeah. So it's actually very confusing on my part since when I was young, I was very adamant about it. I thought that everything that I have been seeing are seen by other people, but apparently not. But I wasn't very vocal about it since I tried to deny it that they actually exist because when I was young, I was very much afraid of them. So, when I was in grade 4, I guess that was grade 4 or grade 3, I always see this young girl who's like when I like every after class we tend to like clean at the back of the classroom or inside the classroom, the cleaners. So every time that I was assigned at the back of the classroom, I would always see this girl and she would always ask me to play with her and such or like talk to her, but I always reject her offer. So I never once did I talk to her or like like really have a conversation, long conversation or played with her. So there came a point when I was like really eager to go home because there was an event going home back then in our house. And then she was very like also she was also eager to like to talk to me or play with me during that time. And so I snapped and I was kind
oh
of
no.
pissed because like you're very eager to go home as soon as possible, but she kept on saying na, "Uy, uyag kita, mauyag kita, sige na." And like,
Oh.
yeah, she was like in Waray. So I thought na she's also one of the students in our school or what. But then after that, do you know what she said when I snapped at her? Like,
Yeah, what did she say?
like she just said na, "Okay, ang ako mama na ang makuha sa imo." But
Ah!
but that time I didn't like give too much attention about it because I really wanted to go home now. So, but like right now, remembering it, it really gives me goosebumps. Like what? And then I guess it was 2 weeks or a week after that incident. I kept on having like nightmares or I get a hard time sleeping because I was so afraid that a girl might like visit me in my dreams or so. And then one time, I thought that it was a nightmare. It was already the fourth day or the third day that it happened. And then when I woke up, I saw this like a woman. She was wearing a dress and her hair was like a bit curly on the roots of her hair, but on the like end part, it was straighter than the roots. So like her hair was like really fuzzy. And then when I saw her on the curtain, behind the curtains, I thought like it was part of a dream. So I went back to sleep and then I woke up again because she was on top of me. And when I was
Oh
younger, I really
God.
didn't want like to put on lotion on my body. So what I described was mama, may babae na nagtuturon sa ako kay ginbubutangan ako niya lotion sa ako chin. And my
Oh
mom
no.
and my cousins and also my sisters didn't believe me that time and they just laughed off. So I
It's
shrugged
gonna
it
like, yeah,
yeah,
nice
like
joke.
yeah. I just shrugged it off because they didn't want to believe me. So what can I do, right? So but then there came like episodes of like, evening. I would keep on bothering my parents because I was crying so loud because I was so scared to go to sleep and see the woman again. So we went to a shaman, and I never like told the shaman about what I have seen or what I have experienced for the past few weeks. But then she said that, okay, so did you play with a girl? I was like, no, I didn't. And how did you know? And then she just said na, kay kukuhaon ka man sa iya mama. Oh,
Oh no.
what the
Oh
fuck?
no.
Like, what the fuck are you saying? Yes, it's, oh my god, goosebumps. So, she said, nakukuhaan daw ako sa iyong mama. So, I replied na, ha? Kay nano, what was the reason? Nano kay kukuhaan ako sa mama? And then, he said na, she was so upset or mad. She was so mad that diri ako nakikiuyag sa iya anak. And it's like typical na ang anak kay nagsumbong sa mama, something like that. And then she was so mad at me. So para like in compensation na dili na ma-upset ang young anak kay she wanted to get me so that I can play with her daughter. That's what the shaman said. So during that time, like it's so hard to believe that it actually existed. And so my dad asked me, like, do you have your third eye open or how did your third eye open? And I didn't really understand the concept of like third eye or seeing entities that is not really existing in our own dimension. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
duh. So I was so young that time, and all I was thinking that I was scared of white ladies, and I wasn't ready with that with that concept, I guess. So I tried to deny that, and then the shaman said that I could help you and I could like close your third eye or such, and then but like she warned me. I think she warned me that time that there will someday it might reopen again, and it did. You know, surprisingly
Oh.
it did, and it's much stronger right now. And sometimes like I'm not very vocal about it to like to other people, except for you guys, like to those people who are very close to me, because it's kind of weird. It's kind of hard to believe that a person could see things because like I'm in a medical field, I'm a
Yeah.
nursing student, so it is expected of me that I try to think or reason out logically or like align it with scientific explanations, but I
Yeah,
couldn't
because you were
explain it.
always one of the smartest people in class. Like, whenever I think of logical people, you're one of the first few people that are actually on top of that list. So it's kind of weird to like when you started opening up about that kind of things to your friends back in high school and even
Ah,
before that.
oh,
Yeah, it's
during
it.
high school, I did not like I didn't actually had experiences like this weird experiences like I'm having right now or like based on the past few years during our junior high school. It started again during senior high school, like grade 12, I think, or like on the last sem of grade 11. It recurred, but during junior high school, I think my third eye was really closed that time because I didn't have weird experiences with ghosts or like entities or encantos.
That's just really scary. If you're like a kid and then your whole illusion of reality is kind of like shattered because like you see things that other people don't. So how did you deal with that?
It was very like confusing on my part, and it was really hard to like accept it, especially to open up to other people. What I did was when I transferred here in Cebu City, I was like dealing with people who have experiences like the same experiences like weird stuff like they tend to see something or someone like white lady or they tend to hear things that aren't like visible to their naked eye like that. So okay, like to keep it simple, what I did was I tried to like conceal it at first, and then when I have met this kind of like people who have the same experiences as I had, I tend to like slowly open up and be comfortable on what I was seeing or what I have been experiencing. And my coping mechanism was whenever I see something, of course, my first reaction was to be scared, right? Like it's weird.
Mhm.
It's not every
Yeah.
day that it might happen to you. So I tend to like explain to them what I'm seeing, like very detailed explanation, or I describe to them what I felt during that time, or what I have seen during that time, or what did those entities did to me. So after that, like a few years after, it's kind of easier for me to deal with them, and it gets a less bit scarier every day. Like you get used to them. It's like they're they're also like here, like beside me,
Oh no!
beside
Right
me,
now? Oh no!
beside me, or like around me. So it's get easier from one day to the next. So ano, parang
Mm,
nakakasanayan na rin every day. Like yeah, that's a term. Nakakasanayan. You get used
yeah,
to it.
you get used to it. You mentioned while you were telling the story. You mentioned that you also started telling other people, like slowly opening up about like what you experienced when you were a kid and what you see. Do you enjoy, just in general, to the people that you're comfortable talking to? Do you enjoy telling these stories and seeing their reactions?
Oh, for the record, whenever I experience it like firsthand or during the time that I am seeing them, like for example right now, like we're talking, like
Mm-hmm.
okay, for example only ha,
Mm-hmm.
it's up to you if you believe it or not. Like for example right now, or like we're talking and then I see someone or I see something. On that time being, I won't be telling you that I'm seeing something. I'll like keep it like as normal as possible na wala akong nakikita na other things aside from you. But like after hours, or when we like go out of the place, or when we go to the other place, or after days or weeks, that's the time that I would tell you, or like tell stories about it. But sometimes I feel so uncomfortable telling them these stories because, like the stigma, or like the stereotyping that I was like right now. My current state is I was trained to think scientifically. If I would align my experiences to it, it would like sound like I'm not in my proper mind. Like like my mind is not sound. So that was also one thing that I reconsider when I tell stories, because not everyone is very like open to having
Open
this
to
kind
it.
of
Yeah.
conversation, right? But
Yeah.
if like I know you personally, and you know that you don't get I know that you don't get comfortable talking about it, then I would gladly tell you these stories, because it's something that not everyone experiences, and it's kind of fun. Not really like fun. It's kind of overwhelming to experience these things and not just like keep it to yourself, because sometimes like when you're so into it, like no, like you're so into it and you're like dealing with it alone, it's kind
Hmm.
of like it's very it's mind blowing,
Yeah.
like the reason why you see them is not very known. Like you don't know the reason why you are seeing them, or where they came from, or what kind of entity are they. Are they the same with us or not? So it depends on the people. Sometimes if I know that you're easily get scared of, I won't tell you that on the time being. But sometimes no, I like to do it for fun. I like to do it for fun.
Yeah, just so you know, whenever like we're driving together and things
Oh
like that, if ever we
yeah.
hang out, just don't tell me because I'm gonna panic.
Okay, okay, good to know that.
Yeah,
So
because
I would
I
know
might
my
just crash the
limitations.
car or something. Yeah. Now that you said that, you kind of like you kind of do it sometimes for fun, and then when you like if you're comfortable with the people and you tell them the story. So, what are some of your personal favorite stories that you if you're comfortable with sharing it right now.
There's a lot actually. Wait, can you like give me some like you genre or like a
Okay.
ghost
So
or
something that
encantos or what?
something that both of us can relate to, because I think every student, like, or a majority of students that went to our school back in elementary has experienced something in Gabaldon, in the
Oh
Gabaldon.
my god, yeah, in Gabaldon. Okay, so I have these like really, really, really bad experience with Gabaldon as in so it was before I discovered that I had my third eye open. So we were I like no, you were still in St. Francis that time. We were grade 3 and I was one of the contestants for Science Quiz Bee and our advisor that time was the late Miss Helen. And
Yeah,
then yeah, you know her. Oh my god.
yeah, I know.
Yeah. So it was Miss Helen who were like we were together during that time and it was already 5 o'clock. We were reviewing for the science quiz B and then when it's like I think it was 5:30 or like 6 already, we started like seeing this black cat and then she that cat went inside the room and then she told me that I should go out and I should close the door. So I did what she said, and she was the only one staying inside the room. And I was like, I think she was like praying or like it was a Latin prayer. I
Oh
couldn't
no.
remember. Yeah, it was a Latin prayer, and that time I didn't know about the prayer or like the Latin. It didn't creep me out, so I just shrugged it off. And then she called me again. I went back again, and then she said that we should go home. On our way to Gabal, like on our way downstairs, we were like heading to Gabaldon. The stairs where Jose Rizal was. Oh
Oh
my
yeah,
god,
Jose
it was
Rizal. Oh
so
my God, that
creepy.
Jose Rizal.
Wait, yeah. Di ba, there are two stairs on that
Yeah, there are
like
two
area.
staircases. Yeah.
Oh my god, wait. Ah, goosebumps. Oh my god. On our way to that stair, there was candles lighted on the pathway. So who the hell would
What?
light candles on the pathway at 5 p.m.? And you know that a public school doesn't really have a guard who would like roam
Yeah.
around all the time or so. There are no janitors or whatsoever. So there were candles being lighted on the pathways. I think there were 7 or 6 candles, and
Mm,
like they weren't put in a kind of in a candle. What do you call that? Like where you put your candles? Like they were just
uh,
oh shit.
they were just on the ground. They were
Oh
just on the
yeah, they
staircase.
were just on the no, they were just on the ground. And so when we were already on the Gabaldon area, there was a ruin there. Like it was a column and it was sitting on one of the stair of Gabaldon and on the end of that column there was a girl sitting. So Miss Helen told me not to look at the girl. But you know, like I was so stubborn. Yeah, you know, like you're curious and
Mm.
you're stubborn. Why did Miss Helen told me not to look at the girl? So I still looked at the girl, and her face was very pale. She was
Oh no.
wearing this like cream cream dress, above the knee dress, and she was sitting and she was waving at us and like I think the girl said something, but I didn't quite like heard what she said. But Miss Helen answered the girl like, "Diri okay la kami, dili kami maupod sa imo, mauli na kami, pabay-ila kami." Something like that, and she was repeating that, and she whispered like, "Say a little prayer or like your own personal prayer or angel of God or any like prayer like to protect us." And truth be told, wala ako nag-pray.
You didn't pray.
I
Why?
didn't pray because I was like so scared that time that I couldn't contain my thoughts, my emotions. Like, oh my god, why did Miss Helen told me to pray? And then why did the girl waving at us? And then there were actually blood dripping on her legs,
Oh no.
on her left leg. As in like
Jesus
there were
Christ.
blood dripping on her legs. So like Miss Helen was holding me so tight and she was half running. So I had no choice but to also like run, and we ran.
I have goosebumps right now. Holy hell! I don't think I'm gonna
Like
be able to sleep
really,
right
like
after.
we ran while we're running, Miss Helen were chanting her Latin prayers, and I couldn't like remember what that prayer was. But after that time, like 3 days, I think that was 3 days. We didn't like stayed at the room until 5 p.m. because we were afraid that it might happen again. And I didn't like walk past Gabaldon for weeks or even months during that time. And Miss Helen actually told me that when I arrive at our house, I should like pray, and then I should try to I need to like shrug my clothing, like something like that. But then I didn't actually do that. I just prayed over like during before I slept. I just prayed. So after that, the morning, Miss Helen told me na don't tell anybody about that ha. Langga, don't tell anybody that we saw that girl or so I kept mom. This is the first time that oh no. The first time that I shared this story was during my IG story. Yeah. That was the first time, and this is the second time that I share this story.
Yeah, I was the one that asked you that.
Oh really? Oh
Yeah, I was the one that
oh
asked you that
yeah.
in your IG story.
It was
You
like
kind of left out some details. You just said that you saw a girl with the late Miss Helen, with Mom
yeah.
Helen. You just said that, so I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Now that you actually went into detail, like, bruh, I just have goosebumps all over right now.
I swear, like even until now, there are times that I would like dream of that girl, but I think like she doesn't look the same. But I know that she was that girl. And every time that I have a dream about her, I would like pray and include Miss Helen on my prayers because like I wanted to pay like some respect or to like remember her from time to time because she was actually very special to me. So yeah, it was kind of like a bond between Miss Helen and I that we actually discovered that she asked me, you can see them? I was like, yes, miss. Should I not see them? We just laughed it off the next day, but it was kind of weird and scary that she even like messaged my mom to remind me to pray at night, and she just made an excuse that I should pray so that I would win the competition. But I know
Yeah,
that it has different intentions.
it's kind of sweet of her to do that.
Yeah, I miss
So
her
not
actually.
at least the story was scary as hell, and I'm probably not gonna be able to sleep. But at least the ending had a wholesome. It had a wholesome end to it. So
I think
that's
the
nice.
best companion that time was really Miss Helen. Because if, like, thinking right now, if I would be with other teachers during that time, I think, like, we would, like, freak out. The whole, and then we would, like, stumble on the stairs until we go down. Like, Miss Helen knows how to deal with it. I guess it's a part of her, like, calling. She was a nun before. So I think, like, she knows how to deal with it. So I felt protected that time. Scared but
Uh,
protected.
how often do you see like entities and whatever?
Often. It's very often.
Oh, oh no no
Yeah,
no no
like
no!
almost every day I get to see different entities. Sometimes it gets so overwhelming, but you get used to it from time to time. You get used to it, and it gets less scarier than the previous day. Sometimes you still get scared, but on the long run, you know that I'm the human here. You're not human. You're just visitors in my dimension. So back off. Like,
That's
yeah,
actually a nice mindset to have. So if ever I get scared,
yeah, because you need to overpower them. I'm not sure if it's true, but some people would say you feed, like, they feed on your fears. So I tend to live that with my everyday journey, with that experiences. And I think it actually works that you don't feed them your fears because you need to overpower them. because you're the human, like you belong here. They don't. So no.
Now that you've shared some of your stories, can I just say one of my stories? Like I don't I don't see ghosts. Like I don't have a third eye like you do. So I'm just scared. Like, I'm just easily scared of the dark. Like it's just
Oh
my mind.
yeah.
Yeah. But one time when I was in Manila, I think I was 16 here. Just the summer vacation before college, right? And we were in Manila, and I was in a stop sign. I was in a crosswalk, and I was waiting for the traffic to stop so I can cross. And then on the other side was this dude. He was very tall, very pale. It looks like he hasn't slept for days, and he was wearing just the way that I would describe it is camisa de chino, just white camisa de chino and then white pants, right? I thought to myself that, why is nobody staring at him? Is he like a ghost or something? And I just laughed because, like, like, haha, funny joke. And when I was crossing the street, he kind of passed me too, and then I think I heard him whisper to my ear,
Oh my god.
"Ano mo nalaman?" Like,
What?
yeah, and
What?
and I turned around, and I didn't see him. He was just lost in the, like, there are a lot of people in Manila, right? So when I looked behind me, like, I didn't see him, and that just stayed with me for the rest of the day, and it was
Oh
scary as hell, man.
what the hell? You
That
know,
was the scariest shit.
yeah, it's like hearing about it is so scary. I don't want to hear any of their voices. Like, that's the most no for me. I do not want to communicate with them. I do not want to hear their voices or like them talking to me or like um oh touching me or anything. It's fine with me like seeing them, but with the other senses, no, no. That that was so creepy, like what?
And that stayed with me because you know Atikat, right? She also has a third eye open, right? And
See, I
she
didn't
told
know
me,
that.
yeah, she tells a lot of ghost stories. Like she knows that I'm easily scared, so she would tell a lot of ghost stories. And she
Oh,
told me that it's one thing to see a ghost, it's one thing to see another entity, and that they're just going, like, they're not bothering anyone or anything like that. But when they interact with you, you should just run.
yeah. I mean, like, there are a lot of times actually, that they try to communicate with me. So I have this friend who can communicate with them. May it be like ghosts or spirits or like other entities or encantos or something like that. They told me that, she told me that the the spirits or the ghosts who try to communicate with me are those dead spirits. That's why I was like very aloof of communicating with them because I do not want. I actually had one experience that there was a dead spirit who approached me, and I know that spirit. Like it was a grandmother of my friend there in Allen. So
Oh,
yeah, but I won't mention her name because you also know her. And she
eh,
she told me not to mention her name before or like mention about it. So let's not talk about that. But yeah, like
okay.
she just approached me all of a sudden and she talked to me and I was so surprised that she was dead during that time. So that was it. So
Oh
what?
no.
Yeah. And her granddaughter was actually surprised that I just randomly like messaged her asking about her grandmother, if how was she or is she okay? And then she just replied that, what, di mo pa aram? Namatay naman si Lola. Parang, ano ba?
Oh
Oh,
no.
oh my god, no. As in, that was the last time that I tried to I let them talk to me because I didn't know that she was dead. I thought like she was having a vacation in Cebu City. But it was actually weird that she was outside my school. So I approached her. Yeah, I was the first one who approached her because of course I know her. I really cried. Like I cried for 3 days because of that. And I didn't expect that to happen. That was the first time that it happened.
You've seen relatives who passed away of other people, but have you ever seen a relative of yours that passed away?
Yeah, actually, when my grandfather died, yeah, I guess that was the first time that I went back home after he died. So I think that was like months after he died. When I arrived at the doorstep of our house, I saw him on our garden, and he was wearing that. It was a polo. It was a Christmas gift actually, and I could remember that polo because I was the one who chose that polo. So I saw him, and he was smiling at me. And when I went inside, I whispered to Lola that I have seen Lolo outside on the garden and he was smiling towards me. But when I went back to the garden, I didn't see him anymore. That was the only time that I saw him. And I thought that I would also be seeing my Lola who passed away, but it didn't. Like she didn't let me see her or even in my dreams. Oh yeah, that was weird actually. Oh my god, I remembered something, Deo. My Lola on my father's side. You know what? This this will creep you out, I swear. So on the day of his burial, like like you go to a cemetery and then
Yeah.
like last viewing of the dead body, like people would open your like casket. So like they were viewing my lolo last viewing and they were crying, they were like putting roses on his casket, but I saw him sitting on one of like puntod. It was grave. Puntod.
Yeah, one of the graves.
Yeah. And then
Yo.
man, like, ang grave is like ang usual cemetery in provinces, like anong patong-patong.
Yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
stacked up. So he was sitting on the third puntod. And he was like, it's as if like he was singing or like he's humming. And I really broken down right there.
Oh,
I did not like expect that to see him. Oh my god. And then, you know what? The moment that the casket was closed, he was there beside his casket and he was holding his casket. And I was crying and he was like, that sign that you shush someone, you put your finger on your mouth,
yeah,
that
he
you
was
try to,
hushing you.
yeah. He shushed me not to tell, maybe like not to tell anyone that I could see him or what, but I was like really crying so hard. I did not get to the chance to like look at his casket or his final like for his departure, like it was really burdensome during that time because I could say that I think he was happy. I don't know, like I can't read their minds, but based on his aura, he was happy, but he was like hesitant to really leave. He just stayed there and he was like crying, like he was crying on his grave. Oh my god, yeah. That gave me like nightmares, days of nightmares. Like my lolos being outside his casket and I was the only one who could see him.
So sometimes it's just a heavy emotional burden for you, right? Being able to see like other things out there.
Because like it's not just like emotionally, but there came like things or elements that are very heavy, like their auras are very heavy that sometimes I vomit or I feel so light and sometimes I feel so heavy. My head is spinning, I get like severe headache, so I tend to vomit, I tend to like collapse. No, but that was during the first few months that I have been seeing them that I couldn't handle their auras because they have auras. That's where you can like really tell, you can give the distinction if they're bad, if their intentions are bad or good, or they're just passersby.
Well, when we started talking, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a fun way of like like reaching out with my again, and then we're gonna talk about ghosts. It's gonna be really fun. But now that we kind of delved into it a little bit deeper, like, I didn't realize how emotionally heavy this could be for someone that has a third eye open that can see other things out there. And especially when you told the story about your grandfather, and like you can't tell other people that you see him, and you see how sad he is, like going leaving and whatnot. Just want to give you like a virtual hug right now because that just sounds heavy, man.
Even though like I can see them or what, I couldn't really understand what's the reason why I see them. Or is it a mental disorder? Or is it spiritual disorder? You know, like
Yeah.
you tend to question yourself because you cannot relate, even though like there are people who experiences the same as your experiences. You, each experience is like distinct to one another, you know, like yeah, we can see those entities or those spirits or ghosts, but we have different experiences, and I couldn't, like per se, I couldn't really explain that vividly or what, because it's very personal, like it's very subjective. It's the only me could experience that, you know, like that specific experience. So it's really like difficult to open up and to like relate to other people, although you have like common denominator that your third eye are open. But maybe like you can get similar experiences, like you get creeped out or they tend to talk to you, or like you don't know what to do whenever like they try to papansin,
Yeah.
nagpapapansin sa'yo or what. So maybe that's the bottom or the common denominator of everyone who has third eye. But in reality, we have different experiences, and no one could really understand that, even yourself, you know, because there is no scientific or structured explanation about these things, like these supernatural happenings, you know. Like it's all conspiracies, it's all theories, it's all subjective actually. It's more on perception of the person. So it's really difficult to explain to other people, especially if you're not really ready for this kind of conversation. So yeah.
Now you had Miss Helen for you. You had the late Miss Helen to kind of like guide you or something like that. Like she was kind of she was someone that you looked up to, that you were in common with. So do you have anything to say to anyone who might be listening to us right now, if ever they have the same types of experiences as you? Like, what can you say to them?
Okay. So I'm not good at this, but maybe the only thing that I could like help you with is that you need to like understand. You, oh no, you need to not like overlook things. You need to like not really understand the whole concept for you to accept that it is actually happening or they're actually existing. Because if that ever like you try your best to understand what is the reason behind why you see those things or why are you experiencing and those weird happenings, your mind will just blow off and you might lose your mind actually. Like it's a different level of pers- perspective that you need to like realign your thoughts whenever you see these people or things. Whenever you get to deal with them, you need to realign your thoughts, and you just need to strengthen your like belief in yourself that it will happen again and again and again. But you have the choice to like control it and not really give much of attention to them, because sometimes they just do not matter to you, you know? Like they matter if you give them much of attention. But if you don't, then they won't matter. Because it's really hard to deal with them because they act differently. Maybe they think differently. But you need to overpower them. And what I said earlier, that we should always remember not to feed fears on their soul. So maybe that's the only thing that I could say, because even I is still like finding this, like what path is this heading to, like what can I get with this kind of experiences. So it's really like the thoughts that I'm experiencing whenever I get to deal with these things is really like parang wait, how can I say this? Sobrang nakakasira ng ulo. Parang ganun. As in, so just try not to overlook things. When you see them, you acknowledge them, but you don't dwell too much with them. You don't try to communicate with them, even though they are trying to. Huwag mong papansinin kung masyado nang nagpapapansin, because there are times that when they are so like eager for you to give your attention to them, lumalala eh. Parang mas nagiging powerful sila, especially if their aura is not that good. If their aura is like sucking your aura. So there are times that that it occurs like parang yung good energy mo sinasuck ng bad energy nila. And then, in result, ikaw yung nawi-weaken. Where in reality, dapat hindi ikaw. Parang ganon. So, you should not overlook things and you should overpower them every time that you deal with them.
Thank you very much for your time. My we talked for quite a lot of time, around 20-30 minutes.
Yeah, almost an hour actually.
Thank you very much for your time. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to say whatever you want to say. Anything under the sun, any topic that you want to talk about, any issue that you want to bring attention to. So you have 30 seconds to do that. Starting right now.
Okay, so um right now, like we're in the middle of pandemic, and although there are like minimal cases going on in our hometown or anything, just don't forget that this pandemic is not over, and we should all wear masks, our masks. We should like disinfect always, and we should keep our family healthy. Like keep ourselves healthy and safe from everything that is going on around us. So maybe that's it.
Thank you very much, my.
Thank you. I had so much fun. And when I get home, magpo-podcast tayo.
Yeah, we're gonna do this again. This has been so much fun listening to you talk about stories again. So
First time.
this is the first episode. Thank you so much, my.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Chaotic Monkey Podcast. The Chaotic Monkey Podcast is a bi-monthly podcast that talks about a range of topics, may it be love, music, history, or whatever. If it's under the sun, there's a chance that we'll talk about it. If you don't want to miss out, click the subscribe button. That is all. Goodbye.